All right, let's carry on. Point 4. The indwelling of Christ is related to the Shekinah glory of the Old Testament. So we're about to begin seeing all the verses as to how the Shekinah glory of the tabernacle is the same. The indwelling of Christ now inside of every single believer. So subpoint A, definition. The Shekinah is the invisible presence of Jesus Christ in the throne of grace between the two cherubs. Psalm 99:1, Isaiah 37:16. And so let's look at some Old Testament passages. I want you to get the whole picture as to the Shekinah glory, about the Shekinah glory in the Old Testament. I want you to understand the tabernacle and its role, its function in the first generation of the Israelites, the Hebrews, and thereafter as well. So Leviticus 26, no, that's not the verse. Psalm 91:9:1. The Lord reigns, Jehovah Malak. The Lord, Jehovah, He rules. He lords it, He reigns, yes. Let the nations tremble. He sits enthroned between the two cherubs, the cherubim. The reason why I say cherub is because this is a plural suffix in the Hebrew, but they transliterated, and as a result they saw the need to put cherubim, cherubin, but it's actually cherubs in the English. All right, so He sits enthroned between the two cherubs, let the earth shake. So in other words, here let's pretend we're zooming in, and here was the Ark of the Covenant right here, made out of acacia wood, which represents the humanity of Christ, with a veneer of gold, which represents the deity of Christ. Inside of the ark were 3 articles, each representing a category of sin. The fact that these categories of sin are inside the Ark of the Covenant represents how the Lord Jesus Christ would receive the imputation and judgment of all the sins of the world. On this side is one cherub, let's put his wing right here. On the other side is another cherub. This represents the righteousness of God. This represents the justice of God. The humanity of Christ fulfilled here the character of Christ by being righteousness all the way to the cross, and by Him receiving the judgment of all sins. And so the character of God was satisfied. This cherub represents the righteousness of God, one half of divine holiness. This cherub represents justice, the other half of divine holiness. And the Shekinah glory was said to dwell in between these cherubs. As we saw here, He sits enthroned between the cherubs. Cherubim. Isaiah 37:16 says, Lord Almighty, Lord of hosts, Lord of the armies, that's what it is. Whenever you see Lord Almighty, it's not exactly the same translation. It's not the right translation. The God of Israel, enthroned between the cherubs. The cherubs. Okay. Again, this is the word for cherubs. Cherubim. This hirek, here E, and yod, this means im, and then this im, this is the plural suffix. That's the reason why they put cherubim in the translation in Spanish, or cherubim in English. But im, this is just a plural in the Hebrew. If we're going to translate cherubs in the English, it should be cherubs, seraphs, not seraphim, but seraphs. Not cherubim, but cherubs. Okay. Between the cherubim, you, yourself, are God over all kingdoms of the earth. Okay. So we see that the Shekinah glory dwells inside of the presence. Of course, we know that God is omnipresent. He is everywhere. But this is a specific manifestation, also known as a theophany, of Christ, indicating relationship, indicating policy, indicating favor with the Jews, indicating that they are the client nation of God in the Old Testament. So we know that God is omnipresent, but this is a special manifestation, a special theophany. Everything God did revealed something about His plan, His essence, and His plan, His relationship with people. Okay, so B. In the Old Testament, the Shekinah mandated divine policy to Israel, gave them national security, and guaranteed Jewish blessings. So national security, we saw, let the earth, let the nations tremble. National security, and guaranteed Jewish blessings. And now, in this dispensation, the Shekinah indwells us to perform similar functions. It tells us that we are royalty. It tells us, it dictates to us divine policy, advancing the plan of God. We are still under the justice of God as the point of contact. It protects you as well. Yes, absolutely. It indicates that you are protected as a royal family of God, and it guarantees blessings to you as well, known as the escrow blessings. We just saw Colossians chapter 1, verse 25-26. C. The Shekinah indwell the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle. Exodus 25, verses 21-22. And as such, it is declared to be the God of Israel. Leviticus 26, verses 11-12. So let's just look at Exodus 25:21. Place the cover on top of the ark and put in the ark the tablets of the covenant law that I will give you. Remember? Inside the ark were 3 articles that represented something about sin. One of them are the tablets, which this is the Decalogue, and this represents a special category of sin against the laws of divine establishment, sin against the laws of divine establishment. There, above the cover between the 2 cherubim that are over the ark of the covenant law, I will meet with you. This is the Shekinah glory, and give you all my commands for the Israelites. Okay. So, subpoint D. Under the title glory, Jesus Christ appeared to many people. To Moses, for example, to his rebels as well. Let's look at all these verses really quick so you can get the picture as to how the glory appeared for several reasons at different times. Exodus 16, verse 7. I have these verses ready, of course. Not always, but today, yes. In the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, because he has heard your grumbling. As always, the Israelites were complaining, whining. And what were they whining about? We want different type of food. And what did they say? The whole community grumbles against Moses and Aaron. The Israelites said to them, if only we had died by the Lord's hand in Egypt. There we sat around pots of meat and ate all the food we wanted. Look, they want to go back to slavery. But you have brought us out into this desert to starve this entire assembly to death. Verse 4, then the Lord said to Moses, I will rain down bread from heaven for you. The people are to go out each day, so this is the manna. Okay, and so Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, in the evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of Egypt. And in the morning you will see the glory of the Lord, to confirm that it is God who's giving them the food, because he has heard your grumbling against him. So the glory of the Lord, what is the glory? The cloud. At daytime it was a cloud, at nighttime it had fire or lightning. Because he has heard your grumbling against him. Who are we that you should grumble against us? Moses also said, you will know that it was the Lord when he gives you meat to eat in the evening and all the bread you want in the morning, because he has heard your grumbling against him. All right. Next one. The cloud appeared in Leviticus 9:23. Moses and Aaron went to the tent of the meeting. When they came out, they blessed the people, and the glory of the Lord appeared to all the people. So why did the cloud appear to the people at that time? Well, indicating that God is honoring the authority of Moses and Aaron. Then Aaron lifted his hands toward the people and blessed them, having sacrificed the sin offering, the burnt offering, and the fellowship. He stepped down. Okay. Also related to the offering. And the glory of the Lord appeared to all the people. Okay, yes, this was, and during the sacrifice, the offering, because verse 24 says, fire came out of the presence of the Lord and consumed the burnt offering and the fat portions on the altar. And when all the people saw it, they shouted for joy and fell face down. Okay, so this is the altar out here. And so the glory appeared, and there was already a sacrifice here. And the fire has to come directly from the Lord. It cannot be artificial. It cannot be ancient matches, nor ancient lighters. None of that. It had to be provided directly by the Lord, indicating that God was accepting the sacrifice. And so, boom, you can fire from the Lord to burn the altar. What else do we have? Numbers 14:10. But the whole assembly talked about stoning them. Okay, what was this about? This was about... Okay, yes. And so this... If only we had died in Egypt or in this wilderness. This is them grumbling again. Why is the Lord bringing us to this land only to let us fall by the sword? Again, whining. And they said to each other, we should choose a leader and go back to Egypt. This is a rebellion. Then Moses and Aaron fell down in front of the whole Israelite assembly gathered, Joshua son of Nun and Caleb son of Jephunneh. These are the only two faithful people who were among those who had explored the land, tore their clothes, and said to the entire Israelite assembly, the land we passed through and explored is exceedingly good. This is the time that the Israelites were scared to go into the land to fight because they heard about giants and about fortifications and all that, and so they cowered. They started cowering, and they started crying. If the Lord is pleased with us, he will lead us into that land, a land flowing with milk and honey, and will give it to us. Only do not rebel against the Lord, and do not be afraid of the people of the land, because we will devour them. Their protection is gone, but the Lord is with us. Do not be afraid of them. But the whole assembly talked about stoning them. This is a rebellion. Then the glory of the Lord appeared at the tent, the cloud, at the tent of the meeting to all the Israelites. The Lord said to Moses, how long will these people treat me with contempt? How long will they refuse to believe in me? In spite of all the signs I have performed among them, I will strike them down with a plague and destroy them, but I will make you into a nation greater and stronger than they. And so, this is the glory of the Lord wanting to execute justice, divine policy. We're not done with this yet. We still have several verses here under this point. Numbers chapter 16, verse 19. Again, Korah's rebelling. This was a man that wanted to rebel. When Korah had gathered all his followers in opposition to them, to Moses, to Aaron. So they wanted to oust Moses and Aaron. Aaron under the Levitical priesthood and Moses as the political leader. In opposition to them at the entrance to the tent of the meeting, the glory of the Lord appeared to the entire assembly. So this is the glory appearing to not only execute justice, but to honor the authority of Moses and Aaron. The Lord said to Moses and Aaron, separate yourselves from this assembly so I can put an end to them at once. And again, this is the part when he was going to end all of these. But Moses and Aaron fell face down and cried out, O God, the God who gives breath to all living things, will you be angry with the entire assembly when only one man sins? In other words, they plead on behalf of the whole assembly, all the Israelite people, saying, do not kill the whole assembly. Just kill those, just execute the sin unto death to those who are guilty. Then the Lord said to Moses, say to the assembly, move away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Those are the guilty ones and their families. And so those are the ones that were killed. They executed the sin unto death. And what else do we have? Numbers 16:35, and fire came out from the Lord and consumed the 250 men who were offering the incense. Okay, this was rebellion. They were offering a strange incense inside of the tabernacle, and so fire came out from the cloud and consumed them, executing the sin unto death. Okay. What else do we have? Numbers 26. Moses and Aaron went from the assembly to the entrance to the tent of the meeting and fell face down, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. The Lord said to Moses, take the staff, and you and your brother Aaron gathered the assembly together. Speak to that rock. Okay, so now even the glory of the Lord, the cloud, appeared in times when, such as the Meribah, when water was to be given to them as part of logistical grace. Okay, now we can move on. You get the point? Subpoint E. Shekinah is a term that describes the relationship of Jesus Christ with Israel and with the church. It explains the uniqueness of the Jew in the dispensation of Israel and the uniqueness of the body of Christ in the dispensation of the church. Subpoint F.